All right. Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Clearly, I'm not here today. Thank you for the sub, whoever is in for me today, for showing this video. A quick thing of housekeeping. I will not be here today, obviously, and I won't be here for the whole rest of the week. I am in quarantine until I believe the 23rd. So, unfortunately, I won't be back in school until after Christmas break, I think at least. So, we're just going to plan on watching a small video. This one's going to be a little bit longer of me every day. And then you'll do some work on OneNote. Okay. So, what we're doing today, we're going to finish up talking about our classical civilizations today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And today we're going to talk about Rome. And folks, let me tell you, it is a crime against humanity that we're only going to spend one day on Rome. I can talk about Rome for the entire school year. There is so much to Rome. If today you're like, wow, I really like that, there's plenty of books about Rome in my bookshelf, and you can find so much stuff online. So, what you're going to do, I'm going to do the notes on this video, and you're going to follow along in your OneNote and fill in your notes. And then after this video is done, the sub will play a clip from the movie Gladiator, and you'll answer two questions after or during while watching that clip on OneNote. Okay, your target today, I can analyze how the Roman Empire had a golden age, and the question out the door, what were the different factors that gave Rome a golden age? The next 3 days and the next three civilizations, it's going to be all the same end game, figuring out how and why these civilizations had a golden age. Remember, a golden age is a time of peace and prosperity. Remember, prosperity means the money is flowing and everyone's doing pretty well money-wise. Okay, so if you could be so kind, go to OneNote, go to Global OneNotes, and we're going to continue our Unit 4 Classical Civilization notes. Yours will look like this. Mine will look like this. So, anytime during the notes today, if I'm talking too fast during this video, just say something to the sub and he or she will pause it. And yeah, we'll go from there. So, again, excuse me. I've been sick. Sorry if I keep clearing my throat or coughing during the video. So, Rome. I'm sure all of us in this room, or all of you in that room, have heard of Rome in one way or another. I know you talked about it a lot in sixth grade. But our big focus today is we're going to look at how it started, where it started, what made it a golden age, the contributions, and then, like all the other empires we've talked about, what comes up must come down, and look at the downfall. So we're going to cover about 900 years of Roman history in a 20-minute video. So, Rome is located, the heart of Rome was located in modern day Italy. And if you look at this map down below, everything in the dark orange was the Roman Empire at its peak. So it started out of Italy, but it made its way all the way into Western Europe, as far as north as Great Britain, down to North Africa, and as well as parts of the Middle East. And it was able to maintain this massive empire because it was all on the Mediterranean Sea. Rome would not have been as successful as it was if it wasn't located on the Mediterranean Sea. It's going to help the Romans trade as well as expand their empire into those three continents: Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. So, the government, the Roman Republic. So, Rome will be two different forms of government during its time. The first half of Rome, really its golden age, is when it is a republic, and the second half will be when it's an empire, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And the Roman Republic is going to establish a government where people have the power to elect representatives. The trick with Rome is Rome, our republic, our representatives are. That is very much a system like we have today. When we talked about ancient Athens, it was a direct democracy where all landowning males over 30 were able to vote on everything. It wasn't that way in Rome. It was like how it is in the United States. You vote for your representatives, and then they would have the power to vote on laws and going to war and taxes and all of that, because that's what a republic is. When you elect officials, you elect representatives. The three R's of Rome: Rome, Republic, representatives. And those representatives would make up the Senate, And you're going to see during the notes today and be like, wow, that sounds like the United States. Well, shocker, we based a lot of our government off of Roman government. So the Senate is going to be the most powerful governing body of the Republic. And the big thing, you got to just ingrain this in the back of your brain. Where's my highlighter? There it is. The 12 tables, ladies and gentlemen. When you hear the 12 tables, you have to think of Rome. That is going to be one of their greatest achievements is Roman law. So the 12 tables are the codified laws of Rome that guarantees the right to all Roman citizens. And we'll talk about those rights in just a moment. But you have to know that the 12 tables is associated with Rome. And I'm going to jot this down here in my notes just so we don't forget. Remember that codified laws means laws that are written down. Right? And again, I know I talk fast, but the nice thing is this is a video, so you can pause me. Those rights, those basic principles, are going to be equality under the law. It all depends who you were. If you were a slave, you didn't have that, obviously. The right of the accused to face the accuser and defend oneself. Wow. Where do we have that? We have that here in the United States. And then the idea of being innocent until proven guilty. Again, a lot of stuff that we're going to see in Rome during its golden age, the United States will pick up for its own laws as well, too. And as we talk about these classical civilizations and these golden ages, it's not perfect. You know, remember, we're in the early start forms of history. This one's a little bit later, but it's not going to be perfect early on. It's going to be good for the time, but still not perfect. So we're going to see that males are still going to have complete authority over his wife and family, so that's not great. But women are going to be able to own shops and whatnot. So I would say of the golden ages that we're talking about here, ladies, Rome's not a terrible place for you to live. It's better than the Han, China, and the Athens, I would say. But still, you don't get full freedom like you would nowadays. All right. So moving on, their society, they had social structure. And as I was saying earlier, unfortunately, women will be at the bottom. Well, slaves will be at the bottom, but of free people, women will be at the bottom. But you were able to hold a public role in society and own a business. The majority of society will be called plebeians, and they'll be the social class made up of farmers, merchants, artisans, traders, and they're going to have little to no power, but still have little power. And then your upper class will be the land-owning Roman citizens that made up the Senate. Just like we saw in ancient Athens, it's all about land. And almost all of history, the more land you own, the more power you have, the more money you have, or the more wealth you have. So the land-owning Roman citizens will make up the Senate. So, how did Rome become so large? Well, by 270 BCE, remember that's before Common Era, or if it's BC, before Christ, Rome had conquered the Italian peninsula, which, if we go back to the map, is this area right here. But then they're going to use the Mediterranean Sea to conquer an empire that's going to span those three continents we talked about earlier. Remember, if you can trade, you can invade. So this is going to be massive for Rome. And that's going to lead them up to modern day England, the North African coast, and throughout the Middle East. Again, here's just in note form. I talked about it earlier. Here's another map. Love a good map. So, Rome will not be perfect. There will be lots of power struggles. There's going to be a very, very, very famous Roman civil war. And it's going to be with a bunch of generals who thinks they know how to run the show. One of them is going to be a man named Julius Caesar, who you may have heard of before, who is going to try to conquer Rome for himself. And he tries to overthrow the power. He has the power. And then all of his friends who are in the Senate end up stabbing him in the back. Again, I'm doing a long story short here. He sees his best friend stab him, and he looks him right in the eye, and he says, "E tu, Brute," that means, "and you, Brutus." And it's a whole thing, and then later Shakespeare writes a play on it. But anyways, the point you need to know is lots of murder, between the higher class and the generals. And then after the murder of Caesar, his grandnephew Octavian is going to come out as the victor. And because there was so much chaos, because people had a say, this is when the leaders of Rome are going to go, no, this is what happens when people have a say. There is violence. Let's just have one person in charge. And that's dangerous for democracy. But this is when the Roman Empire will emerge out of the Roman Republic. So Octavian's going to change his name to Augustus and rule Rome with absolute power, and this begins the age of the Roman Empire. However, you think, oh, well, now the people don't have a say. That's pretty terrible. Yes, but early on, it's going to have strong leaders that's going to really help Rome expand. So they're going to have a strong central government, as we've seen in other civilizations. For the ones to order to survive, you're going to want a strong central government. It is much more efficient than several uncentral state weak governments. They're also going to have civil service exams, just much like the Han Dynasty, just they won't be based on Confucius values. And that's going to ensure well educated government officials. That's always a good idea. They're going to reform the tax system because you have this massive empire. You want to make sure it's being paid for. All the roads and bridges are being paid for. They're going to make sure everyone they conquered uses the same coin system. That's going to make trade much easier. And one of the biggest things of Rome has great laws, Rome has great roads, and Rome had a very well organized and excellent, strong military. And you're going to watch a clip on that after this video. But one of the biggest things that you need to know about Rome, especially when we talk about a golden age, because remember, it's all peace and prosperity. And they have that prosperity because they're trading in their empire, but you need the peace. So there's going to be a time period called Pax Romana, and that's Latin for Roman peace. So this was going to be, jot it down, excuse me. This will be 200 years of Roman peace. So, and a big part is it's because they conquered and took over everywhere around them. And if you control everywhere around you and they're not fighting back, of course, there's going to be peace. So, Roman peace was a time of peace and prosperity, Pax Romana. And if people aren't murdering each other in the 3 continents near you and you control all of it, obviously trade's going to go up. So, because there's peace, trade goes up, the money is coming in, people are happy. They're going to use the amazing Roman roads and the Mediterranean Sea. If you were in the Roman military, fun fact, not only did you have to be trained on how to fight, how to kill, all that stuff, but you had to know how to make a road. Everywhere the Roman army went, when they expanded, when they conquered, they laid roads down behind them. That's why the expression came, all roads lead to Rome, is because the Roman army built so many roads, throughout Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa at this time. And everywhere they conquered after that, they said, yeah, hey, you can use these roads, you can come to come to Rome, and you can trade. And we won't tax you on the trade because we want the trade. And that's genius. And, almost forgot, they won't conquer these parts of the world, but because they're going to take over the Middle East, they are going to be able to get to places such as China and India because they will be connected to the Silk Road. Rome will connect with the Han Dynasty. It's going to be the first time the Europeans and the Chinese interact. Excuse me. And that's going to be massive for both societies. It's going to be the first time we're going to see the world is going to start to get connected. So, what goods does Rome have to trade? Well, because they control North Africa, Europe, and the Middle East, they're going to have so much. They're going to have grain from the Nile River Valley, that whole part of North Africa they take over. They use that as their bread basket. They grow all their bread there because they have a huge empire to feed. Actually, fun fact, they farmed so much in North Africa that soil in North Africa 2,000 years later today still cannot grow wheat because the Roman Empire abused it. So there's food shortage in Africa today because of the Roman Empire. Nuts. But they're going to use grain from the Nile River Valley. ivory and gold from Africa, and spices and gems from India, and the silk from China. So they're going to gain all those things because Rome doesn't really have, like, it just saw the Italian peninsula, not too much the trade. All their good stuff, the trade is from the places they conquered. They got olive oil. That was their best thing, which is great. Religion, they're going to be follow the Greek gods. They'll make the Roman gods for the majority of their history, but towards the last 100 years of the Roman Empire, Constantine will legalize Christianity. And we'll get to that in the next unit much more when we talk about the Byzantine Empire and whatnot. But Christianity, I mean, Jesus Christ of Nazareth will be persecuted and killed under Roman law, as we talked about last unit. And then 300 years after his death, his religion will become the official religion of Rome. So it's nuts how they switch midway through. And as I said earlier, the three things that Rome has going for them is their amazing laws, their codes, their roads, as well as their military. So their roads and their engineering. This is probably the best part about Rome would be their roads. And then right down here, there's a word. It's called aqueducts. I'll get to aqueducts in a minute. So roads are going to allow for trade and military expansion, like I said earlier, and then just their engineering in general. The invention of arches, using concrete. Concrete is a massive invention that's going to help you build so many aqueducts and roads and bridges and domes and buildings. It is just massive. An aqueduct is going to be, if you look at this picture down here, oops, I got my highlighter on, is that picture to the left. And that's going to be a bridge-like structure that the Romans use, and they use the archways to carry water from hills to the cities. All right. And then they're also going to invent the dome. Again, like I said, I'm spending maybe 20 minutes on Roman notes today. There is so much to this. If there's any little part of this notes you like, look it up on your own. Ask me for sources if you want to learn about other stuff. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The Colosseum is going to be the very famous stadium that is built in Rome. It was used for gladiator fights, chariot races, executions as well too. And there's a thing called bread and circuses. And that's when the politicians realized they weren't well liked and they're doing shady stuff. And they would allow all these gladiator fights, chariot races, all that stuff for free to the people. And they would give them bread at the same time. So it's like, hey, like, don't look at the government. Look at this cool, awesome chariot race, and we're going to feed you. They did that to distract the people. All right, and there's a beautiful picture of the Colosseum right there. I've never been there. My fiance's been there, and she says it's small. It's a lot smaller than you would think. Like, I look at this picture, it looks massive, but it's a lot smaller than you would think. But still, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to visit. Okay. And again, I've been talking really fast. If you have to pause the video, rewind, go ahead and do so. But the last bit of notes today, the fall of the Roman Empire. So how does this massive empire fall? It was so well organized. How does it fall? Well, everything falls over time. And we're going to look at the political, economic, and military and social causes. So, again, excuse me with my cough over here. Politically, the government's going to become too strict. Yeah, when the empire took over after Caesar's death, it had its pros, but eventually, when you have corrupt and weak rulers in charge of an empire, when it's just they're the only person that has a say, the people aren't going to like that. They're not going to like not having representatives, not feeling like they have a say. So people are going to stop supporting the government, officials are going to get corrupt, and then it's going to become divided within. Economically, taxes will become too heavy. The people refuse to keep paying it, and towards the end, way too much slave labor. If your society is built off slave labor, it's not going to last because, well, one, it's terrible. Two, think of it this way: if slaves, are doing everything, do you have a job? No. So a lot of lower middle class people's jobs got replaced by slave labor. So that's another economic thing. People weren't making money. Military causes, constant evasions. So they are going to eventually, the people that they conquered, especially in Northern Europe, the clip you're going to watch today is going to be of the Germanic tribes, so modern Germany. Those people eventually are going to be tired of being Roman subjects and, being second-hand citizens in Rome. So they're going to fight back. And then once they gain their land back, they're going to eventually want to take over Rome for themselves. The borders are going to become way too big to defend, so big that Rome is going to have to hire foreign soldiers, so people that aren't Roman blood, to protect the borders. And, ask yourself this: if you were hired by Rome to protect the border, and then a bunch of people are coming running towards the border and they're going to chop your head off if you don't get out of the way, are you going to stay there? No, you have no allegiance to Rome. They already paid you. You're going to get out of the way. You're going to let the invaders in. And then social causes. Gap between the rich and the poor widens, and people become selfish and lazy. This, to me, is like the woo. Maybe we should be very careful of this today. Am I saying America's going to fall next year? No. But this is what scares me. This is what we have to learn from. The gap between the rich and the poor, and people just becoming selfish and lazy. Okay? All right. So, guys, thank you for watching that. What you're going to do, excuse me, is you are going to go ahead and once you're done with this, and if you have to pause the video and rewind, go ahead. But once everyone's done with the notes, go back to Unit 4, and then your page will look a little different than mine because this video will be linked right here. But there should be a video right there that the sub should have the link from Mrs. Lewandowski. Should be up on the board already. But if it's not, it's right there. Just tell the sub the title of the video and you can put it on the big screen. And then you're just going to answer these 2 questions. It's about a 9-minute long video. If the notes took too long to the sub, go ahead and fast forward it to about 1 minute and 58 seconds because that's where it all really starts. And you're just going to look at how the Roman army fought. You're going to answer these 2 questions. What are the differences between the Roman army and the Germanic army? And what does the Roman army tell you about Roman society? And really think outside the box about that and think about what I was talking about organization earlier. The only thing that's not historically accurate about this clip, the cavalry, the people on the horses riding through the forest, they wouldn't do that. You wouldn't ride a cavalry through a forest because your horse would trip on a log, and you just wouldn't do that. But everything else is super, super historically accurate on how the Roman lines were, and it's a great clip to watch. All right, and then when you're done with that, you're going to answer the question out the door down below, which is, what were the different factors that gave Rome a golden age? Okay? Thank you guys so much for your patience. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I will talk to you again for a video tomorrow. All right? Thanks for watching, and of course, go Bills.